Welcome to another week of the weekly forex forecast, guys. As you can see, the dollar is still in a downtrend, and if you check the DSY, we are in a daily time frame. So let's zoom in further to see what is going on. On Thursday, they released the NFP, which comes out better than expectation. You get, and then we saw dollar strength on Thursday. You understand? And on Friday too, we saw the continuation of dollar strength, which means that Daniels might have a significant effect next week. You get, which we might see the dollar strength coming to play out, and then DSY we might see a retracement on DSY before the continuation to the downside. Because if you check the old directional bias, we are still in the downtrend. So what are we looking at on the DSY, that is on the dollar? So my expectation on the dollar, if you go to the 4-hour time frame, is to still see some retracement coming to play out around this area, because we started seeing the creation of a lower high around this particular area. And then if this kind of thing is happening, we can see a retracement, because after this low, no new low was broken around this area. So assuming we have something like this, because this is how market structure works, assuming we have something like this and then there is invalidation of this low, we might say that probably next week this low too might be invalidated. But as you see, all these 4-hour lows is has not been validated, sorry. And then this brings me to the conclusion that we might actually see price coming back to this particular area. And previously, you can see that there is gap here before, there's gap at this particular area before. So price might actually came to probably fill the gap, and then we'll see the continuation to the downside from there, which price might reject from this area, and then we'll see the break of this low. So in the process of price retracing back to this resistance low, still have the gap. You get, we might see US dollar strength coming to play out, and then we've started seeing that after the NFP on Thursday, because Friday is US bank holiday. So that's why the NFP, because some people might be asking, that is usually every Friday, first Friday of the month, they drop NFP report. Why is it that they drop it on Thursday last week? And the answer is, Friday is a public holiday on US, and then a bank holiday also. So that's why they have to drop the NFP reports on Thursday, and we saw that coming out better than expectation, which might be a key driver in the US dollar next week. You get, so because the investors will be like, okay, I think the US economy is becoming they are now having a positive trajectory from the US economy. You get, so what they want to do is just to invest in the US economy. You get, so and before, they are contemplating that if the job report comes out negative, then Fed will have to announce the day for an interest rate cut. But now we saw a positive report, so is either they keep the interest rate, or we see the interest rate hike, the hike in the interest rate report. But let's see what Fed will likely to do. So we are just waiting for what Fed want to do now. But before, there is a higher chance of rate cuts, because the analysts thought the US dollar, the NFP report will comes out negative. You get, but as of now, we've seen a negative report on the job data. So which means that it might be waiting for interest rate hike, or they will leave the interest rate unchanged. So that is what will bring about US dollar strength next week, which you might see the weekly candle closes bullish. So if you check the weekly candle of this, you will see that it's like it closes like a hammer candle, which is a rejection candle. So, but you know, all this candle, when you learn about candlestick, you know, you don't trust all this candle when they are against the trend. Yeah, you only trust them if it goes with the trend. But for now, I think we should see something like a retracement to the upside, and then a what we call a rejection from there. So we might see something like this, and then probably it might close as a weak rejection next week. So maybe first from Monday to maybe Thursday, we might see price going like this, and then the next probably maybe the next maybe for Thursday and Friday, then we might see something like this coming up around that particular area. So you understand what I want to do? Yeah, so I want to do something like a rejection. Okay. Okay, now moving to that side. So you know what I want to, like when price come here and then we see a rejection, and then we see another rejection beside it, because this is still where I'm looking at. This is the target where I'm looking at for the overall strength of the US dollar to resume. So if you check what is going on right here, this is where I'm looking at. So let's see how it goes. Let's see what price will do at this level. But my own conviction next week is US dollar strength. So before we go to the individual pairs, let's check the economic activities of next week. We have not much reports next week in the economic activities, especially from the US dollar and then other currencies like that. But from Tuesday, starting from Tuesday, we have the RBA rate statement and then interest rate from the Australian dollar, which means that they want to cut rate. Yeah, so they are cutting rates by 25 basis points because the previous is 3.85 and then the forecast is 3.6. So let's see if they are going to cut rate right there. So we have the interest rate statement on Tuesday from the RBA, and then on Wednesday a interest rate statement too from the SND. So they want to leave their rate unchanged. So let's see how it goes right there. So Tuesday, Wednesday, expect volatility from UDPS and then SNDPS. So on Thursday we have the unemployment claims that normally come every Thursday of the week. But for the unemployment claims, I think it should reduce due to the job data we received, due to the job data report we received on Thursday. So I don't see the unemployment claims to skyrocket. I see it reduced, and then so much have a US dollar strength and that environment. And then on Friday we have a GDP report from the pounds, and then Canadian dollar employment change, and then unemployment rates from the Canadian dollar. So like we don't have much to, but we should be looking, I should stay locked on AUD pairs and SND pairs due to the interest rate statement. They want to drop, so we'll see some volatility on that pair. And then GDP report on Friday is a high impact news, but I don't think it will have a major effect in the market or in the short run on Friday. I don't think. And you know, interest rate reports normally have effect instantly, and you know, a long-term effect also. So let's see how it goes. So these are the economic activities of next week. First, so gold is the first one we want to check right here. So using the daily time frame, you can still see that gold is still in an uptrend. And then last week I told you guys that gold will bounce from this place, and then you see that 1 2 3 4 5 it bounced from that place for like 30 days before it retraced. So like I traded this and I made some profits around this particular area. So now what is going to happen next around this area? I still feel like we'll still have one more retracement around this support, this trend line that actually serves as a support. So let's go to the 4-hour time frame. So, and you know, this too is giving me some doubting mind that liquidity has been taken around this particular area, and then you see as price come back here and reject straight to the upside, and then sellers no energy to push the price down at this area, and you see as 4-hour candle closes after indecision candle right here, which means this is a doji candle. A doji candle is an indecision candle, so which means that we might see the buy starting from this area on Monday, and the price will keep pushing, and then this eye will break it and this side will break. And one thing I want to tell you is that as you can see, this price, this is a high right here, and you see that this price break this high again before it came to grab the liquidity, and then you know that this price might invalidate this high to next week, which is something that is that the probability is very, very high for price to break that particular high next week. And then the next high we'll be looking at is this. So for me, I believe that the buy might continue around this area, and then if the buy didn't continue, then I'll be waiting for the break of this So in short, I'm going for a buy bias, but any break around any break below 3,330, then I'll be waiting to take my buy bias from this place. So waiting for price to come down, and then I'll take my buy bias from that particular area. But you know what I'm actually looking at first is the price should not come below 3,330. If price comes below that 3,330, that is we're looking for a buy bias at this angle. But for now, seeing a buy bias around this area back to 3,386. So that's what I'm actually looking at next week on gold. So these two levels I'm looking at, and any entry I see on Monday, I will enter at market price. You get above 3,330 level. So I would like to enter at market price above this level. So that's what I'm looking at for on gold next week, for price to actually invalidate this high, and then price will actually make a new high, because start seeing all this high, this one take out, you get, and then we trace this one to take out this high, and one thing that is not clear to me is that this high did not take out this high. So that is what is giving me concern now. But at least price came to take the liquidity around this area, and then we saw price losing above this particular level, so which means that price might actually invalidate this particular high on Monday. And if that does not happen, we will see price coming back to this area, and then we might see a buy pressure from this area that will break all this to the upside. So the first major currency pair I want to check is Euro USD. So Euro USD, I'm looking for a sell setup on Euro USD next week. And for me, you know, monthly retracement is what I'm actually looking at this area. See the long candle. So I'm waiting for price to retrace back to let's see. So I'm waiting for price to retrace back to 50% level before the buy continue. You know, if you see this one too, there is a retracement before another bullish candle open. So I think that price will actually retrace with what I'm actually seeing here. So if you check the weekly time frame, you see that this weekly candle does not have that momentum to get to the upside. Though something happened around this, same thing happened around this area, and then we saw this one, you get. But with what I'm saying at this particular area, I don't think it has a lot of momentum to actually go high like that. And then coupled with what we saw on the DSY. So with the daily time frame, I still believe that we can still have price retracement back to this particular area. Understand? So that's what I'm actually looking at. A self setup on Euro US dollar next week, as you can see, probably starting from Monday. A self setup back to this area at least. You get, that's what I'm looking at. So if you check the 15-minute time frame, let's go to the 15-minute time frame. You can see some things around that area. As you can see, so this trend line has been broken to the downside, which means that see what I'm seeing around this particular area. So which means that this is my safe zone. To be on the safer side, this is my safe zone. That is 1.17875 is my safe zone right there. You get, so if price break that to the upside, then I'll wait for price to break 1.18079. Then I'll start looking for a buy or buy setup at a particular area. But for now, I'm looking for a sell setup back to this level of 1.16825. You get, and that is a 23.6 Fibonacci retracement. But for the 50% Fibonacci retracement level, this is it. So that's why I'm saying that the NFP they dropped on Thursday might have a significant effect next week. You get, and then we'll see dollar strength coming to play out next week. Then the long-term view, the long-term bias is weakness. You get, is US dollar weakness. So the next pair I want to check is GBP-USD. GBP-USD2, I'm looking for a sell buy, and this one is very, very clear using the 4-hour time frame. You see what I'm actually saying at that particular area. So which means I'm picking my buy from here, but first of all, I can actually see a sell setup which might be like 100 plus pips, almost 200 pips to the downside. You get, before we actually see a buy. We might even see a breakout to this particular area before we see a bias to the upside, and this might actually happen. So that I'm looking at selling GBP-USD next week starting from Monday. So from that particular market order, it depends on what the candle close that open on Monday. If there is no gap, then it is it has set like that. If there is no gap, as you can see, so be looking for a sell setup and then a stop loss below that particular high. If there is no gap on Monday, then probably at this high there should be a stop loss and then probably possible take profit at this particular area. But for me, I still think price will hit this area before we see a buy continuation at that particular area. So let's see how it goes on GBP-USD. So on AUD-USD2, I'm looking for a sell setup too, but this ones want to drop their interest rate report on Tuesday. So for me, I'm looking for the price to hit this significant area before we start seeing a buy setup from that particular area. So that's what I'm actually looking at on AUD-USD, because you start seeing a lot of ring at this particular area. The price now came down to a stick. You get, so still looking for another sell pressure back to 0.64710. So on the US dollar JPY, I'm looking for a bias because JPY is very, very weak. So if you take the JPY index, you see that it's just going down. Like you can see, the JPY index is in a downtrend. So which means that coupled with the NFP report of the US dollar that came out positive, you get, and then the JPY weakness and stuff like that. So we can say that we should have a solid conviction of buying US dollar JPY back to this particular area. And then if that level break, you might be looking for price to skyrocket to this particular area in the next couple of weeks. So let's see how it goes. So because we saw these fake breakouts around this area and price now came in back, and then we saw the rejection. And if you zoom in further, let's just do small thing around this particular area. Where's the low here? This is the low and this is the high respectively. So from the low to the high, you see that price reject at 50 to 61.8 in the middle of 50 and 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level, which means that we might be looking for a buy bias. I'm even looking for a buy bias next week back to this back to 145.864. that is for US dollar JPY. So on Canadian dollar JPY too, I'm looking for the same thing, a buy bias due to the weakness in the JPY index. So probably waiting for price to retest, probably maybe do some retest at this particular area and a rejection to the upside. So guys, watch out for CAD JPY and US dollar Japanese yen. So that's what I'm actually looking out for on those pairs. On AUD JPY to, you know, they have the interest rate on Tuesday, so probably I'll be looking for a fall in the Australian dollar at the beginning of next week, probably maybe after the interest rate report. Then we can see a bounce at this level. So firstly, I'll be looking for a buy bias, but it needs to retrace back to 93.894 for me to enter that buy bias, which is coupled with that trendline rejection at that particular area. So that's what I'm actually looking at for the year. So on Euro Swiss franc, this one is a long-term sell setup back to 0.9224, but I don't like how this pair move. Euro CHF is not that pair that will just move like that, you know. It always has a lot of ranging, a lot of back and forth before it will move in one direction. So that pair is not a pair that I really like that. Okay, so that is that for the pairs on my watch list next week. So these are the pairs on my watch list next week. So do well to subscribe, like and share. Don't forget to turn on the notification in case I drop a new video so that I can be notified. So there is a link to verified broker, verified pro firm in the description box, which is Edway and then Blueberry funded. So deposit as low as 2,000 naira to Edway, and then I'll give you a 20% off when you want to buy your Blueberry funded pro firm. If you use my promo code AMBIFS20, 20% of that money will be removed, you get, and then it tends to buy it cheaper than expected. So that is that about the weekly forex forecast. Don't forget to use your protective stop loss. Stay safe, guide your accounts, guide your capital. You know that if you don't have capital again, there's nothing you can trade. So don't go all in and get fear if you don't have the money to do so. You understand? So you just need to trade your capital small, and then look for more information on how you can get capital and trade responsibly. You get, don't let the pressure get to you too much. It's not that you should not let the pressure get to you, but don't let it get to you too much. So you understand? If the pressure gets to you, then you kind of wake up and work hard. But if it gets to you too much, you know, you'll be doing something that you're not supposed to do. So that's just it. See you guys next video.